As the world prepared for New Year's Eve, cities buzzed with anticipation and celebration. But behind the scenes, far from the public eye, a decision was quietly unfolding that would have global repercussions. The Trump administration, in a move that caught many off guard, quietly lifted sanctions on 3 key Intellexa executives, individuals at the heart of a company accused of enabling digital surveillance on a massive scale. Announced with little fanfare on December 30, 2025, the decision sent shockwaves through cybersecurity and human rights circles. Experts and activists alike scrambled to understand the implications, as news outlets rushed to cover the unexpected development. The timing, right before a major holiday, was widely interpreted as an attempt to bury a controversial decision, minimizing public scrutiny while most people were distracted by festivities. The reversal marked a sharp departure from previous efforts to hold spyware vendors accountable for enabling authoritarian surveillance. It signaled a potential shift in U.S. policy, raising concerns among international allies and watchdog groups. Intellexa, already accused of targeting journalists, activists, and even U.S. officials, was suddenly thrust back into the global spotlight. The company's controversial practices were once again the subject of heated debate. The original sanctions, imposed in 2023, had aimed to isolate Intellexa from the global financial system, cutting off its access to crucial markets and resources. For 2 years, these measures had sent a strong message about the consequences of enabling digital repression. By lifting restrictions on 3 individuals, the administration signaled a possible softening of its stance on commercial spyware. Some saw this as a pragmatic move, while others feared it would embolden other companies to push the boundaries of surveillance technology. Privacy advocates and analysts were left scrambling to interpret the administration's motives and the future of U.S. policy. Was this a calculated diplomatic gesture, or a sign of shifting priorities in Washington? The move was not a blanket pardon, but a targeted reprieve that raised more questions than answers. Legal experts debated its long-term impact, while the public wondered what it meant for digital rights and accountability. For Intellexa and the global spyware market, this New Year's Eve surprise was just the beginning of a new, uncertain chapter, one that would test the boundaries of technology, ethics, and international law in the years to come. To grasp the impact of the sanctions reversal, you need to understand Intellexa. Founded by ex-Israeli intelligence officer Tal Dilian, Intellexa is a shadowy network of companies spread across Europe. Its flagship product, Predator, turns smartphones into surveillance devices, capturing messages, calls, and even activating microphones. Intellexa's decentralized structure lets it dodge regulation and accountability, selling to governments worldwide. While the company claims to help fight crime, evidence shows Predator is often used to silence journalists and political opponents. Dilian's intelligence background gives the operation credibility, but also places him at the center of a global debate on digital weapons. Despite repeated denials, Intellexa's tools have been linked to scandals that threaten democracy and individual safety. The company's secretive operations make it a prime example of the dangers of unregulated spyware. The recent reversal of sanctions zeroed in on 3 key Intellexa executives, Sara Hamou, Andrea Gambazzi, and Merom Harpaz. These individuals weren't just names on a list, they were at the very heart of the company's operations and influence. Hamou was responsible for managing the business side, overseeing finances, contracts, and the company's strategic direction. Her role ensured Intellexa's commercial engine kept running smoothly. Gambazzi, meanwhile, controlled Predator's distribution network, making critical decisions about who could access the controversial spyware and where it would be deployed. Harpaz was a top executive, overseeing day-to-day operations and ensuring the company's global reach. Together, they formed the backbone of Intellexa's leadership. By targeting these 3, the original sanctions aimed to disrupt the very core of the consortium's leadership, sending a strong message to the industry. Now, with their removal from the blacklist, that pressure has been significantly weakened, raising questions about the effectiveness of such measures. When the news broke, none of the 3 responded to media inquiries. A typical silence in the secretive world of spyware, where executives rarely speak publicly. The Treasury's brief, carefully worded explanation was the only insight offered into why these individuals were suddenly cleared, leaving the public and press with more questions than answers. The rest of Intellexa's leadership, including its founder Tal Dilian, remains sanctioned, highlighting the selective nature of this reversal. This selective move adds a new layer of complexity, leaving analysts and observers to speculate about the administration's true intentions and the possible behind-the-scenes negotiations. The decision underscores just how difficult it is to hold individuals accountable in a shadowy global industry where influence and secrecy go hand in hand. For now, the story of these three executives and the reasons behind their sudden clearance remains shrouded in secrecy, leaving the world to wonder what really happened behind closed doors. At the center of the Intellexa controversy is Predator, a sophisticated spyware tool engineered for both zero-click and one-click attacks. Unlike traditional malware, Predator is designed to be nearly invisible, slipping past security measures and infiltrating devices with alarming ease. Predator can infect a phone without any user interaction, exploiting hidden vulnerabilities that even the most vigilant users might never notice. A single message, a missed call, or a silent push notification can be enough to compromise a device. Once inside, it grants total access, reading encrypted messages, recording audio, tracking location, activating cameras, and even harvesting passwords. The victim remains unaware as their most private moments and sensitive data are exposed. Intellexa claims Predator is intended for legitimate law enforcement use to help fight crime and terrorism. However, investigations reveal a darker reality. The tool has been deployed against journalists, activists, and political opponents, often with devastating consequences. The U.S. government cited Predator's abuse as a key reason for imposing sanctions, especially after evidence emerged of attempts to target American officials and diplomats. This marked a turning point in the global conversation about spyware. The tool's immense power, combined with a lack of oversight and accountability, makes it a direct threat to privacy, civil liberties, and the very foundations of democracy. Predator's existence on the open market exposes a dangerous gap in international regulation, allowing powerful surveillance technology to be bought and sold with few restrictions. Its use against non-criminal targets has been well documented by groups like Citizen Lab and Amnesty International, who have tracked its deployment in dozens of countries. The spyware's reach extends far beyond its intended purpose, undermining trust in digital communication and making people question the safety of their everyday devices. Predator is a stark reminder of how easily personal privacy can be obliterated in the digital age, and how urgent the need is for stronger protections and global accountability. One of the most notorious Predator scandals erupted in Greece, the birthplace of democracy. In 2022, journalist Thanasis Koukakis discovered his phone was infected with Predator, sparking a national crisis. Soon, opposition leaders and even cabinet ministers were found to be targets, revealing a vast domestic surveillance operation. The scandal, dubbed Predator-gate, exposed how spyware was used to monitor political rivals and silence critics. Intellexa's deep ties to Greece, including a major presence in Athens, raised tough questions for the government. The fallout led to public outrage and parliamentary inquiries, damaging the government's credibility. The Greek case showed that even established democracies are vulnerable to the abuse of commercial spyware. The threat from Intellexa's spyware hit close to home in 2023, when a Vietnamese campaign tried to hack U.S. lawmakers. Using Predator, attackers targeted members of Congress critical of Vietnam's human rights record. The campaign used phishing emails to try to install the spyware on officials' devices. Had it succeeded, sensitive government communications could have been compromised. This incident was a major catalyst for the original U.S. sanctions against Intellexa. It highlighted how foreign governments can buy off-the-shelf tools to target American officials. The attack underscored the global, borderless nature of the spyware threat. Intellexa's role cemented its reputation as a dangerous player in the surveillance market. The Biden administration's 2023 sanctions aimed to disrupt Intellexa and penalize it for fueling digital authoritarianism. The Treasury accused Intellexa of selling spyware to regimes that used it for transnational repression, targeting dissidents and exiles abroad. By enabling these abuses, Intellexa was deemed complicit in human rights violations. The sanctions also responded to Predator's use against U.S. officials, elevating the issue to a national security threat. The goal was to send a clear message. The U.S. would not tolerate commercial tools used for espionage against its own government. Sanctions were meant to deter other spyware vendors from reckless sales and encourage corporate responsibility. The move was a bold attempt to rein in an industry that had long operated in the shadows. For a moment it seemed the US was setting a new standard for accountability in the digital age. The Trump administration justified lifting sanctions on the three executives with a brief Treasury statement. Officials said the individuals had petitioned for reconsideration and demonstrated separation from Intellexa. This likely meant resignations or divestment, but details were scarce. Critics questioned whether these steps truly absolved them of past involvement in Predator's proliferation. The founder, Tal Dilian, remains sanctioned, signaling the US still sees Intellexa as a threat. The selective delisting could be a strategy to encourage defections or a sign of weakened resolve. The lack of transparency fueled speculation about political motives or lobbying influence. For privacy advocates, the reversal felt like a retreat from a landmark step. The move sets a troubling precedent. Can executives simply walk away from accountability? The decision leaves the future of sanctions and the fight against spyware uncertain. The sudden reversal of sanctions is more than a bureaucratic move. It has global implications for privacy and surveillance. The US now sends mixed signals, sanctioning Intellexa's founder, but letting key executives off the hook. This weakens the impact of sanctions and complicates efforts to regulate the spyware industry. Companies like Intellexa exploit legal loopholes to sell powerful surveillance tools with little oversight. When these tools are used against journalists and activists, they chill free speech and democracy. The normalization of invasive surveillance threatens everyone's privacy, not just high-profile targets. The case raises urgent questions. Who sets the rules for digital weapons? Who holds the arms dealers accountable? The Intellexa saga is a stark reminder that the battle for privacy is ongoing, and the stakes are rising. The world is watching to see if governments will act, or if the powerful will continue to watch the powerless with impunity.